welcome to another episode of Cooking with the Charleses. Today I'm going to try and make some black bean soup, and I'm going to start out with the base. So I've got about half an onion diced pretty thin, and I've got a red bell pepper. That's about 3/4 of one, and it wasn't big to begin with. I've got some celery, and then I've got some about 5 medium cloves of garlic and a little bit of habanero pepper in there. If you don't enjoy heat, don't add it. Or if you want a more milder form of heat, you can probably go for like a habanero or something like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add them to my pot, and here I have some olive oil, and I'll see you in a bit. I started with adding the onions and the garlic to the pot. I let it cook for a couple of minutes on medium-high. Now I'm going to add the celery. We'll stir in, and I'll see you in a little bit. Now this mixture has been cooking for a few minutes or so. Now I'm going to add the last bit of the base, which are the red bell peppers, and let that marinate into these flavors for a few more minutes. It's been about a minute with these cooking all together. I'm going to add some spices now, some seasoning. I'm going to add the umami seasoning, mushrooms and onion, a little bit of salt, and some ground cloves. About maybe a little less than a tablespoon of the salt and the umami, and then maybe half a teaspoon of the cloves. We'll be back in a little bit. While the base is continuing to cook with the seasonings, by the way, I adjusted the seasonings. For the umami seasoning, I added about half a tablespoon, and same for the salt, because the beans are salted, so I cut back on that. But while the base is continuing to marinate, I'm going to rinse 2 cans of black beans, and I'm going to add them to the pot when it's ready. So it's been about 3 to 5 minutes. I rinsed the beans. Make sure that the water's running clear after when you're rinsing the beans. And now I'm going to add it to the pot here. All right, I'll stir up and see you in a bit. So this is how the mixture is looking for now. Of course, we need some liquid. You can either add a cup. You can start off with a cup of either vegetable broth or chicken broth, or even beef broth if you want. I'm going to use chicken broth, and I'm going to start out with about a cup or so, and then add as I go along. I added about a cup and a half of broth, maybe closer to 2 cups. And then I followed it up with about a cup of water, a little more than a cup of water, just to cut back. And I want it to be, of course, that soup texture, but I don't want to overdo it on the salt. So if you're concerned about the salt, just get the beans that are low sodium and go from there. So the soup has been simmering for about 10-15 minutes, and I just want to make the texture a little thicker. So I'm going to pulse it with a hand blender, because I also like when it's chunky. And I'm making some white rice. I didn't put any salt in it because this is seasoned perfectly, so we don't want any competition with salt in the rice. And let's see how it looks after I pulse it a few times. So this is my hand mixer, and I just pulsed it. It was pulsing it a little bit before I filmed. But I have the texture that I want, so I'm going to stop right here. And you can make it as creamy or as chunky as you'd like. It's up to you. But this is where I'm going to stop. I've already put the stove onto low, and I'm just waiting for my rice. I'll see you in a bit. All right, so here is the soup. And I've got my rice and my topper green onions. But let's just see. Oop, I gotta push my bowl a little further, a little closer. We'll take a couple of spoonfuls and spoon it on top. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. And spoon that on top. That should be good for me. And then some topping, some green onions. Ooh, we'll be generous. Now it's time for tasting. I do enjoy a nice, some soup over some rice. Oh, let's dig in. Bon appetit. That's delicious. And I love the crunch of the green onions. You know, you can put whatever topper you like. If you just wanted to eat the soup just like that, you could add some sour cream, cheese probably. But I like, of course, you know, I like my rice. I think you'll enjoy this as well. Actually, I know that you'll enjoy this. If you enjoy our content, please make sure to share, like, and subscribe. We'd love to have you part of our family. And remember, life's better, well seasoned. See you next week. Bye.